All right. Little late night action coming to you live from the cockpit. My name's Ryan. I'll be your pilot tonight. I want to talk a little bit about Brian Duker being the Jets' new defensive coordinator. I want to kind of go through some of his history and relationship with Aaron Glenn and what maybe we could expect from the new defensive signal caller for us. And then I want to go into a little bit of some of the news around Kirk Cousins going to be released. We can talk a little bit about the NFL draft, the Senior Bowl, and all that good stuff going on. We've seen Nussmeier down at the Senior Bowl looking pretty good. He might be a good day two option for the New York Jets. But very, very excited to kind of see where we go from here. Looking forward to talking to you guys. All right. First and foremost, if you haven't heard already, and I probably should have put it in the description, I did not do that. Talking Jets draft party, going to be first night of the NFL draft. $25 gets you in the door. You get a drink with that, and you get a raffle ticket and a whole bunch of cool stuff. You get the $5 draft beers, well drinks, house wine, and 50% off apps. It's going to be myself, O'Leary, Green Bean. I'm pretty sure Dom C. I don't know if Tigo and Jeremy are planning to come up. Got to talk to them. Got to send them some info. But should be a good time. We have a blast. Obviously, our 2 first-round picks, number 2 overall, number 16. There's any number of different directions that the New York Jets can go in this year's draft. And anyone that says they know exactly what's going to happen is full of baloney. It could go any number of ways. Not to mention the Jets own the 33rd pick, the first pick in the second round, which means they could, in theory, trade up into the first round and have a third first-round pick for this year. So a lot of cool stuff that could be happening. I'm excited. All right. Let's go into Brian Duker. I will admit, I did not know anything about Brian Duker prior to seeing him get hired by the New York Jets and, Googling him. That's kind of what had to happen here. Jets interviewed 8 defensive coordinator candidates and then had some second-round interviews. And then we're like, we're going to bring in this Brian Duker guy, and we're going to hire him the very next day. Now, I think this probably is a pretty clear indication that this is a guy that's just willing to take on the defensive coordinator role and allow Glenn to be the play caller. I do think that Woody Johnson stepped in and wanted Glenn to be the defensive play caller. I think Woody also stepped in saying he wants an experienced NFL quarterback guru, which is where the Frank Reich thing comes in. We don't officially have a hiring notice of him yet, but it seems like it might be headed that direction. And then Tanner Engstrand, you lose because you're demoting him and everything. So it feels like Woody's got his mitts all over this. I don't like it. I think it's going to cause a lot of problems for the New York Jets going into next year's hiring circuit. Now, hopefully we look good enough and we have enough draft capital that someone strong and capable wants to come here and it's not just totally blown up by one Dick Johnson. Brian Duker. Let's go through a little bit of his history. He stemmed back. So him and Glenn first overlapped in Cleveland in 2015. That was actually under Mike Pettine's head coaching regime over there. And then they rekindled that relationship in Detroit. 2021, Duker was a defensive assistant. 2022, he's a safeties coach. 2023, defensive backs coach. And then the last 2 years, he's been the secondary and pass game coordinator for the Miami Dolphins. Now, a few things that we learned, or seemingly learned, it sounds like Ashton Davis might be coming back to the New York Jets. Obviously, he was with the Miami Dolphins last year, was underneath Duker, and him following back up here could make a lot of sense. Jets need some safety help. I'm all for it. I think Ashton always found his way around the ball, and if there's a coach that he likes that also helped develop some pretty good safeties over in Detroit, you got to feel pretty good about it. So I think the safety room should be able to generate a few more turnovers. Hopefully that just extends to all the defensive backs in general, because we need turnovers. No interceptions in an entire year when your head coach is a former defensive back and a defensive-minded head coach. It leaves a little egg on your face, not going to lie. Now, I'm not getting overly worked up no matter who our offensive staff is or our defensive staff, because it very much feels like this regime might be out at the end of the year. Now, I'm not hoping for that. I obviously hope Aaron Glenn turns it around. I hope that the defensive coordinator can get this defense looking like not dog shit, and I think the offensive coordinator hopefully can at least call some plays that the offensive side of the ball, whoever our quarterback may be, can take advantage of. There's going to be a lot of different names that get flown out there. I'm going to have my mock offseason probably coming out. I'm going to try and do it this weekend. Probably want to hop off this stream. I'll jump over and start piecing together all my things. I have like a tentative idea of what I want to do. Free agents, draft picks, that sort of thing. Now, the 8-day 3 picks, I'm not exactly sure how I'm handling that. It might just be like a best player available type situation. But either way, I'm very, very excited. Pure Adrenaline Sports. What's good, dude? Where is my other comment? Here it is. What's up, Ryan? Why do we stay fans of this shit? It's because once you're a fanatic of a team, just how it goes. You got to be a fanatic through and through. What's up, Ryan? Let's get into this. Eric Craig, great to have you in here. Yankees. Hi, Ryan. Hope you and the family are doing well. Yeah, we're not doing too shabby. Hanging in there. It's cold up here in northern New Jersey. Still have about 2 feet, maybe 18 inches worth of snow on the ground. Family's doing well, though. We got Jake. What's good, dude? More of a Green Rock guy, Ryan. Green Rock. I don't know if I understand what I'm talking about. What are you talking about, Jake? This doesn't make any sense to me. Old mate. Good evening. Cheers. Honestly, I think I would like a Geno reunion instead of Kirk. Owen. What the hell? I want no part of Geno Smith. If you want to tank, then go get Geno Smith. He looked like dog water last year. I watched like way more Raiders games than I have watched in recent years. And I was someone going into last season saying, I think the Raiders might have a better chance of success than everyone thinks they would. And they earned the number 1 overall pick, and Geno looks like hot dog water. So no, Owen, I do not want Geno Smith. I don't necessarily hate the tank idea. Obviously, because I want a quarterback next year, but I want to win as many games as we possibly can. I kind of want the Colts to do the tanking and us to get their high first round pick. As far as like Kirk Cousins, because I didn't touch on this, Kirk's going to get released. He restructured his deal so that way it could work for a release. Now, that was prior to Kevin Stefanski getting hired as the Atlanta Falcons head coach. I thought for sure Stefanski would want to keep Kirk Cousins, and I guess that's not the case because we got reports today that Kirk is going to get released. Now, if he wants to be the highest paid version of himself, I would think the Jets are probably going to be the team that offers him the most amount of money if he wants to come here. That doesn't necessarily mean we want him. It doesn't necessarily mean he wants to come here. I started this whole channel 8 years ago or 7 years ago or whatever I'm on now. Why Kirk Cousins is going to be a New York Jet. So who knows? Maybe I was just super early to the jump at that particular point in time. But I think there's a few opportunities for Kirk on different areas he could go. He could go to the Colts if they want to slow roll Daniel Jones. Let's say they want to, sign Daniel Jones to a contract that says, hey, every game you start, you're going to get paid this much. It might very well be a full redshirt year for Jones, but maybe they want to go something along those routes. I don't know. NYC Sports MC, what's good, dude? Says, hey, Ryan, sounds like Kirk Cousins is going to be released. He could be the perfect option to start next year and for the next year and a half, take a quarterback in 2027. Thoughts? Yeah, I don't hate the idea of Kirk Cousins. I think we're going to attempt to go for him, but I think there's other options too. I really think the Jets are going to poke around the Kyler Murray side of things because I think he's young enough that could provide a, kind of a springboard for a second half resurgence of his career, where Kirk is really just the Band-Aid bridge quarterback. Kyler, I think either him or Kirk could be a really good option for Glenn. And Glenn's going to try and win as many games as possible. So he's not necessarily thinking bridge quarterback. I think he's thinking primarily who's going to win the most games next year so I can just keep my damn job. And then if you get the opportunity to draft a quarterback in 2027, maybe you want someone that could be a better mentor. I think Kirk is a better mentor than whatever Kyler would be. But I think both guys are definitely going to be in the conversation for sure. And I have no problem. If the Jets want to bring in Kirk Cousins, sure. I'm all about it. I think he's a good quarterback. Jake says, my brother is in Mexico, and who was in the pool drinking with him? Jeff Ulbrich. Boy, did I get some juicy details about the New York Jets. I would love to hear those. So if you want to drop any news, that would be very, very interesting. I like Ulbrich. I would love to see if Ulbrich wants any of his former defensive players, if they want to throw some picks our way. I could see the Jets maybe moving off of Sherwood or something along those lines. Hey, Money, what are your thoughts on Trinidad if he goes to the draft? So I got faulty information from Dom C, and I'm a little irritated. I'm one, Dom C. Dom, if you're watching, I'm throwing you under the bus here. Dom told me that Trinidad Tramblus, because he did not declare for the draft, because he was trying to go back to school for his 6th year of eligibility, he was going to go into the supplemental draft. But that's not true. When you run out of eligibility, you are automatically enrolled in the NFL draft because you don't have to declare early because you're done with college. So he could get drafted. As far as what are my thoughts on him, the guy looks fun. I have no problem if the Jets want to roll a dice on him in round 2. I'm very much a day 2 quarterback kind of guy. Nussmeier, Chambliss are probably the 2 favorites for me. Outside of that, I don't mind taking a swing at 𝐂𝐟𝐿. I actually like 𝐂𝐿𝐼𝐸 Green a lot. Jets were spending a little bit of time with him down at the Senior Bowl. I had him on my year-long fantasy team that I do with a group of guys with a whole bunch of college teams and all that. But I like him. Dude's an animal, and is at least fun to watch. Got a ton of starts under his belt, I think. Right? Is that how? Let me, before I talk out my ass right now. Trinidad Chambliss. I thought he had a. I should probably type in stats before I talk out of turn. So he's got the 1 year start. Oh, he's only got the 1 year. So how many games has he got? 15 games under his belt. 66% completion percentage, almost 4,000 yards, 3,937 yards, 22 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. What did he have on the ground? On the ground, he had another 527 yards, so you're talking like 4,500 yards total. Had another 8 touchdowns on the ground. It'd be fun. If you get like a Kyler Murray like as your bridge quarterback and then draft Chambliss, you had 2 guys that are very eerily similar in height and in potential play style. Oh, and Chip Kelly being an OC was a mistake because everyone outside Vegas should have known that wouldn't work. They paid him a ton of money to be OC too. They paid a whole lot. I liked Chip when he was in college back at Oregon, and I thought he was going to do really good things with Philadelphia, and that just did not play out. So I don't know. Eric, Kirk Cousins. I first started watching the channel when the Jets were trying to get him under contract. So that was my first video. If you want to see a really super cringy old version of Ryan in my old apartment and like super baby faced and not super confident on camera, check that out. That was the first video. Glad you've been hanging around so long, Eric. I've seen the name pop up a zillion times over the years. Cuddy, what's good, dude? Says, is the draft event exclusive to you, or can people come even without a ticket? Wanted to buy 2 tickets and have some friends who are Giants fans that live in Hoboken, was thinking of inviting. So it's not necessarily exclusive. They do have to buy a ticket if they want to come in because it costs it's going to be $30 at the door. So if you do want to go, they're more than welcome to come. I have a bunch of buddies that are going to come that are not necessarily Jet fans. They're just close friends of mine. We're all going to be watching the draft together, reacting to it. So it's a draft party. There's just going to be a lot of Jet fans there. So they're more than welcome to come. They get the drink with it as well. But the event itself for that night at that particular bar will have a cover charge at it. So if you do it through us, you get a $5 savings on it. Boss Girl, Ryan, I just saw Matt on his other channel talking about a winning team. Talking about a winning team? What are you talking about? What winning team? Other channel. Talking about, is he talking stuff with the Giants maybe? And no, but the Giants are top 5 pick. I don't know what you're talking about. What winning team is he talking about? I don't think we're a winning team right now. Happy Thursday. What's good, Daniel Barry? Was he talking Super Bowl? Maybe that's what he's talking about. Bar across the street. Bar across the street from Texas, Arizona. Oh, that's what you're talking about. You're talking about, okay, that makes more of a Green Rock guy, says Jay Klein. So Green Rock is owned by the same people that own Texas, Arizona, and what's the name of the bar they have next door? I'm losing my mind here. I had the Garage, maybe? I think that's it. They're all owned by like the same thing. We looked at Green Rock. Green Rock's just a little small for what we wanted to do. It's more of like a thin, narrow bar. Texas, Arizona has got like a big kind of entry way, big TVs in the back so we can post up there, big screens behind us, and then a whole bunch of access to the bar. So we did look at Green Rock, but not going there. Cuddy, Geno would need a perfect O-line to be good. I don't see him as a good bridge quarterback for a young guy to learn from behind. Kirk, I like in that role. Yeah, I agree. I would prefer Kirk Cousins over Geno. I'd probably rank it as like Kirk, and I'd probably throw like Flacco in there. Right? Flacco's not super fun to watch at this point, but he can still throw the rock all over the place. Kyler's going to be fun because there would be a lot of movement, obviously. And I think the other interesting part to Kyler is I think the Jets would trade for him, and I think the Jets can get like a 3rd-round pick back. I really think it could be like, hey, the Jets will trade a 7th, eat the contract, and get Kyler in a 3rd, and it saves the Cardinals a crap ton of money if they do it that way. If they outright cut him, Jets will have an opportunity to maybe sign him a little bit cheaper, but I'd almost want to use our cap space that we're not using on actual players to get another higher caliber draft pick. And not to mention, that 3rd-round pick would be the first pick in the 3rd round if the Cardinals were to trade it to us. Titan Shifter Jaeger. Whew, words. Wouldn't hate Kirk. Oreo says, the Jets are doing everything ass backwards. They are literally doing a rebuild during a real rebuild. I just don't get it. How did the Pats have the 3rd overall pick last year and 1 year later they're in a Super Bowl? So it definitely helps when you get a really, really good head coach. It definitely helps when you hit on the quarterback, or at least it seems like they hit on the quarterback. Now, I think it's entirely possible that Drake May maybe isn't as good as everyone's kind of giving him credit for. He's still young, and obviously it's not like he's hit his ceiling or anything, but he has not looked good in the postseason, and the regular season he versed a whole bunch of nobodies. So who knows? We'll see. They had the easiest route to the playoffs, or to get to the playoffs and through the playoffs of any Super Bowl team. So I don't know. We also were the team that beat Belichick the final game of the season and gave them Drake May. If we had lost, we would have had probably Joe Alt or I guess it would be J.C. Latham, one of those two. I think those were the two guys that went ahead of Fashanu. I don't know. I don't care. Screw the Patriots. Willis, Howell, Kirk would be your 3. Howell's interesting because he's had one full season of starts. He was, 21 touchdowns, 21 interceptions, and like 4,000 yards. It'd be super interesting. I'm cool with seeing a bunch of, deep downfield passes. I don't know if he's going to win you a whole bunch of games. I think Willis would definitely be the first choice for a lot of Jet fans. I think there's a lot more volatility because he's got such a small sample size compared to both Howell and Kirk, but there's a lot more optimism about him. So I'd be down. I like this list. Boogie down. What about Garoppolo? I think he can fit. I've never disliked Garoppolo other than his injuries. That shit sucks. Light Grenade. Man, all these Jet YouTubers streaming tonight. And all I can say, and I'll say it again for the 3rd time tonight, YouTube notifications suck. I have no idea who else is streaming tonight. I'll be honest. I know I saw Dylan and Dom C talking about the Senior Bowl, but I have no idea who else is actually going live. Cuddy, I like the idea of Kirk with Engstrand, as well as something about a vet quarterback with a young OC I love. What could have been? I really wish we could have had Engstrand here. I'm a little irked that we did not keep him. 𝐀𝐄, you think after they bring in Reich that Joe Lombardi could be brought in for a quarterback coach? Well, Lombardi was just OC in Denver. If he wants to be quarterback coach, I wouldn't necessarily hate the decision. Did they work together? Is that I don't honestly know the coaching tree that Reich would bring along with him. Let me just pull it up real quick. I don't think they overlapped at all, or at least I'm not really sure. Nothing's jumping out at me, at least. Maybe. I would think Reich probably has all his guys ironed out that he wants to bring. Cousins would be protected behind our O-line and have time to make and read and deliver a throw. Who knows if he would come here? I mean, honestly, I think we could do a whole lot. I think he could do a whole lot worse than the Jets' offense. I think if he's looking to try and win something, then he's going to go elsewhere. Like the Colts would probably be a pretty decent landing spot for him. If he's or even the Steelers, if he's looking to, get like one last bigger contract and start a bunch of games, then I think maybe we're in the conversation here. Nussmeier is my favorite. 𝐀𝐟𝐿 has never put the team on his shoulders. I agree, Cuddy. I am not a big Allar fan. I think he's an interesting specimen from a height weight perspective and high ranking coming out of high school, but I don't think he ever put it together at Penn State. I do like Nussmeier. I like that his dad is an offensive coordinator. I think that there's some degree of NFL pedigree and offensive wisdom that just gets passed down when your siblings or your father is either an ex-NFL player or, in the league. So I like that from him. Boogie Down Bronx says, why not Garoppolo, Ryan, and he comes cheap? I just got your other comment. I'm sorry. But yeah, he's just going to be injured, injury prone. I don't know. I don't necessarily hate it. I think a lot of it depends on who our offensive coordinator is and then what type of offense they want to run more than anything else. Douglas, Ryan, I sincerely hope this team finds success and makes it to, or hand to God, wins a Super Bowl before you get to my age and root for its total destruction. Douglas, I don't know how old you are. I hope you're not that much older than me. I'm 36 years old right now, and I very much want to see our Jets win something before I have to retire. That would kind of be nice. I just want to be competitive. I mean, heck, half my life this team has been just flat out uncompetitive. This shit sucks. It's absolutely miserable being a Jet fan. It is not fun. Not fun at all. Let's see. I had something I needed to pull up here. See if I saved it. Did I save it? Yes, I did. All right. I'm going to get back to more of your comments in just a second, but I just want to thank the sponsor of the channel, Mando. Bam! If you guys want to help support the channel, Mando has sent over some awesome products. I've been using their stuff for 2 or 3 years now at this point. Jets 24/7 will get you 20% off at shopmando.com. I'll also give you free shipping. I like their deodorant. They're anywhere deodorant, moisturizer, cream stuff. You can put literally anywhere. It is meant for anything. Your pits, your balls, your thigh folds, your belly buttons, your butt cracks, your feet. You can put them on top of your eyelids. I mean, you can literally put this stuff anywhere. Makes you smell super good. I really like it. It was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated, clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. The solid stick deodorant is formulated and powered by mandelic acid to stop odor before it starts, and the spray deodorant is aluminum-free and ideal for hard-to-reach places. All products are baking soda-free and paraben-free. Choose from a variety of scents like bourbon leather, clover woods, Mount Fuji, or Pro Sport, clinically proven to control odor better than a shower with soap alone. 12 hours after a shower, the average man's Grundle odor level was 5 out of 10. With Mando, the average Grundle odor level was 0 out of 10. Want to try America's #1 whole body deodorant formula now? You can find them at Walmart, Target, and other retailers across the country. For the best deals, go to shopmando.com and get 20% off using promo code Jets247, and you get some free shipping as well. Mando, thank you so much for sponsoring the channel. Greatly appreciated. Let's go back to the comments. Ryan's first year on YouTube was about Kirk Cousins and the Jets with over $90 million in cap space. Nearly 8 years later, same type of video. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I don't think my mock offseason is going to revolve around Kirk Cousins, though. I kind of want to get a little frisky and go a little bit of a different route. I'm going to set some guidelines on my mock offseason. I'm going to frame it around the mindset of Aaron Glenn, because there's things that I would do, and then there's things that I think the Jets should do, but I'm going to frame it around Aaron Glenn and how I think his mindset will be and how I think he should go that direction. Like, it's one thing to say, oh, I want to try like a high upside young quarterback combined with maybe a day two swing. I don't know if that's necessarily a winning formula, and Jet fans' feelings don't necessarily align with where Glenn is at trying to save his job. So we'll see. I got some ideas noodling around up here, but I think it's gonna be fun. Zachary, it's a good dude, says Nuss has below 9-inch hands. I did see that. I don't know where he officially came in at. I think 8.5 is the smallest that the NFL has really had, and I think that was Kenny Pickett. I don't like the quarterbacks with small hands, but Nussmeier's one that I don't necessarily mind rolling the dice on, because I think he could just be a long-term backup. Like, that's sort of all I'm like. If you can tell me I'm drafting someone and the worst case scenario is long-term backup, I'm cool with that. I don't necessarily want to take that in the second round, I guess. I guess you got to hope that he could at least potentially be something more than that if you're going that high. If the hand size is too scary, I don't know where Chambliss measures in at with him being so small. Maybe his hand size is just a lot bigger. Or Taylor Green. I don't know. I could go a bunch of different directions on quarterback either way. February 12th is the date to know for Trinidad Chambliss. That's when his hearing is. Yes, I did hear that. Oreo says, what are the chances the Jets front office gets desperate and trades their 3 first-round picks for superstar players in hopes of trying to keep their job? Don't assume they're keeping these picks next year. My understanding in hearing some rumblings through the Senior Bowl from some people that we got down in the know is that Muji and Glenn aren't necessarily tied at the hip. So if Muji is the one controlling these picks, I think he knows if he has a good offseason and it just like looks like they're trending in the right direction as far as like bringing in talent, and his trades look as good as they did from this past year, and his signings other than Sherwood look as good as they did from this past year, then I think Muji comes back and has the opportunity to really use those picks. If Woody's putting them both on the hot seat, then yeah, I mean, anything's fair game, and I think it's totally a crapshoot at that point, and I hope that's not what happened. Q𝐄 with that O-line, Reese, and another wide receiver with Garrett, maybe, just maybe, it'll be entice Kirk to sign since nobody else will want him. I think there will be plenty of people that will want to take a swing on Kirk, and we're not going to have that second wide receiver until the draft anyway. I don't think we're going to go out and sign one in free agency, at least not like any kind of bigger named one. We have Mitchell and Mechie on the roster right now, and I think that sort of satisfies the free agent-esque side of things, and then I think we add one through the draft. Thomas, what's good, dude? Nice to have you in here. Rise of the Jets. Ryan, your thoughts on to fixing the Jets this year? Free agents, sign all offense for the draft, draft Bane or Reese, trade back up to get Downs or Styles, 3rd or 4th round, draft a linebacker Rodriguez or safety Bud Clark. I don't offhand. Is Rodriguez the Texas Tech guy? Is that linebacker? I'd have to go back and look. I don't know many of the guys outside of the top 2 rounds, aside from like a few fan favorites that I've seen. As far as the signing offense in free agency, as far as free agents go, I want to go safety, linebacker, defensive line, guard, and that's kind of all I care about. If you get an opportunity at maybe a high upside wide receiver that's not going to cost you an arm and a leg and wouldn't prevent you from drafting one, then maybe you consider that. But I'm not overly like crazy about free agency. I'd rather almost go like the second wave and save a little bit of that money. As far as drafting Bane or Reese, I like that. If I were Muji, I think he's probably gonna go Reese. If he's looking to try and get as many wins this year and Glenn has more input, then I think Bane's the pick, because I think Bane fits more seamlessly into JJ and Will McDonald. And if they're not moving either one of those 2 guys, then you can get all 3 of them on the field on like passing downs. If they're looking at moving one of the edge rushers in JJ or Will McDonald, then I think Reese ends up becoming that pick too. Reese might need a little bit of development because he only has 140 pass rush snaps. But I like either one. As far as Downs, I'm not like crazy about getting Caleb Downs. Really good player. Just I don't value the position as highly as maybe some others do. Sonny Styles, I'm down with. Sonny Styles is my favorite player in this draft this year. So I'd be on board with this. Mid Flair, what's up? Titan says, I'm thinking of going to either Pittsburgh for the draft or the Talking Jets event. Either way would be a bit of a flight from Florida. Well, hey, dude, we'd love to have you at the Talking Jets event. We're super close to New Jersey Transit, and I guess it's the PATH train that's right there. The PATH train comes over from, Port Authority? But you can get it from Penn, I believe, is how Matt got over. He went from Long Island into... I think he went into Penn Station and then caught a train from Penn over. Really super accessible. And I'm pretty sure if you fly into Newark up here, there's a way to get onto the New Jersey Transit. I've never taken it from the airport, I'll be honest. But we'd love to have you. Q-Ka says, Anzalone and Ashton Davis incoming. Watch out, NFL. I agree. I think that's what's going to happen. I think Ashton's going to follow Duker up here from Miami. And I think Anzalone's going to follow... Glenn from Detroit. And I like, honestly, bringing in both of them. I think it's a solid move. I don't think either one's going to cost you a whole lot either. Kieran, is there any way Fields stays as our quarterback for the upcoming season, or is he just a guy insta-cut? I would be very surprised if he was on this team for next year based on how we finished out the end of the season, because he was healthy and we just didn't play him, I think, until like the very end, and they were like, oh, now he's like on IR or something. I don't think he's going to be here. If we wind up bringing in like a Greg Roman as our offensive coordinator, then yeah, maybe Fields is the guy. But I would envision Fields being a very risky play for a head coach that's trying to win as many games as he possibly can for next year. Better happy hour at Green Rock. I wonder what Thursday's all-day happy hour at Texas, Arizona. They're going to have the $5 well drinks, house wine, draft beers, half-off apps. I don't know what Green Rock does. It was just the size thing for Green Rock for us. Bane and Styles, 2 and 16. I would be down for that. I don't think Styles makes it to 16, though. Who do you like at 2, Bane or Reese? So I'll give you kind of my rough analysis on how I feel that's going to go. I think we're going to stay as a 4-3 defense just because we have the personnel for it currently. If we were to switch to a 3-4, you could kind of maneuver some guys around, but I don't know if they're going to get overly crazy switching stuff up in a year that Glenn might be gone after. I think if it stays as a 4-3, Bane plugs in very easily. You would have him on the outside with JJ on first and second down, and then third down you would kick him inside, similar to what we did with JFM, and have Bane, Will McDonald, and JJ on the field at the same time. With Reese, you are probably keeping Reese and JJ on the field full time because Reese is really good as a run defender as well. There's a little bit more mystery maybe surrounding his full-time edge rusher position. And then Will McDonald, I don't know if you stand him up as like a linebacker. I'm not like, there's a little bit of like, I don't exactly know what to do with those guys. If you wanted to put Reese as the linebacker, keep Will McDonald with his hand in the ground, then I think Reese could still rush that way. Like, I think Reese's floor is just a really good linebacker. And our hope is that he could really be like a blue chip edge rusher, which is sort of where a lot of his projection is going to be. Bane, to me, I really like him a lot. The arms are going to be a big concern, and I think there were some comments made by Muji when he was over in Denver where he said something along lines of like, there's certain metrics that are historical outliers, and you don't generally try to draft those types of players because you have to overcome that historical nature of it. And that's not to say that Bane can't do it. I mean, he might. But I think if the decision falls more on Muji, I think maybe he aligns himself with Reese more. if he's looking for the most impact immediately, I do think Bane could be that. Yeah, so my thoughts there. If we took Murray, we would have like $100 million plus tied up in quarterbacks. Yeah, I don't think it matters though, because the dead cap is the dead cap no matter what, and we can't get that back either way. The other side of the coin is, do you think the Jets, we have like $90 million, $100 million in salary cap space right now. Do you think the Jets are going to attract $100 million worth of talent to eat up that salary cap space? Or do you think we're going to have to overpay mediocre talent to come here? So there's that. Or you can wait till wave 2, wave 3 of free agency and just kind of get some lower end guys, which is probably the direction I think the Jets should go. I don't want to spend a crazy ton of money on, not really good players. So for me, I would rather sacrifice salary cap space and add a draft pick in conjunction with Kyler than, or at least I think it makes it more appealing, is what I'm trying to say. His contract, I think, would be like $42 million this year and like $36 next year, but it's only guaranteed for this year. There might be a little bit of guaranteed money in 2027, but either way, you could at least have him for the 2 years of a bridge quarterback. I think it probably gives you, he's probably the most athletic and most high upside quarterback you could get. And I think that does help Reese and Garrett, like, hey, like, we're trying to get a guy in here. Cause like, if you can get through this season and have them like sort of like, okay, I'm buying in, we're going this direction, we're going to try and win, now. Then if Glenn really shits the bed, we're going to have a brand new head coach. We're going to have 3 first-round picks. You're going to draft a young quarterback, and hopefully you can kind of keep everyone sort of intact. If you go some other directions, I think you'll get some chirping from Reese and Braylon. No one will want that contract if the Cards move. They will have to eat a ton of it. If they trade a draft pick with it, it could be like a Brock Osweiler type trade. I'm interested in listening. I mean, you could talk to me, like, if the Browns called us up and said, like, hey, we need to get Deshaun Watson's contract off our books. We'll give you our 2027 first-round pick to just take Deshaun Watson, and then the Jets just cut him outright. I would consider it. Like, I'm all about buying a draft pick. I think Kyler's one that you could buy the draft pick and actually use the player. I don't think anyone's trading for Deshaun Watson. It's because Drake May, the year before they got Vrabel to coach, and Vrabel brought McDaniels, who's a great OC. Yeah, Patriots turn it around real quick. Patriots have a Hall of Fame offensive coordinator and easiest schedule of the century. Yup. Willis is going to go to Miami. That's where everyone kind of projects him to go because the Packers connection. I don't know if that's necessarily true. They have not a lot of cap space. And if they cut Tua, it's going to be a whole lot less cap space too. So I don't know. I could see Willis going any number of directions. He's going to be highly sought after. Owen, Geno was the guy that was mentored by 2 elite quarterbacks, so he can draw on that to help a young guy. Last season was because he did have a bad line and weapons were not healthy or great. Also, that was scheme. So I watched Geno. I will admit I did not watch his all 22. Maybe there's some more there that I'm missing some context, but my buddy's a Raiders fan. He thought Geno sucked. I thought Geno sucked. I don't want any part of him, I'll be honest. What's up, Mutt Viles? Ryan, what's happening? I feel like I'm watching a reality TV show instead of a franchise trying to create a winning product. Yeah, it doesn't feel like the Jets are actually like a good team or a well-run organization. Every day I hear something, it's like, oh, great. What are we going to find out tomorrow? They're doing all these news drops on Fridays. They're going to wind up bringing in like, hey, we got this no-name offensive coordinator, like, surprise, here it is. And then they're going to go into the weekend and you're going to have Jet fans just spinning for like days. Lombardi's connected to Muji and Glenn. All right. Well, then, sure. Fine with that. Owen, also talking about AG. It's funny to me that AG decided to take on play calling a week after all the Jet YouTubers said they would prefer that instead of Wink. I mean, yeah, I think Woody was the one that forced that decision, and we know Woody and Brick are influenced by what they maybe see online and what they hear about. I don't think Glenn is a particularly good play caller, I'll be honest. So I'm not expecting a whole lot. His defenses in Detroit were not very good. Peyton and Nix are beefing in Denver. Yeah, I heard Nix was not happy with Peyton kind of talking about his ankle, but I did not see the clips, so I just don't know enough about it. Oh, Douglas, sorry, I missed this. I'm about Green Bean's age. You're like mid-50s. I think Green Bean's 30. Is he 53, 54? He turned 50, God, a few years ago. Matt got him that jersey. Nussmeier looks like he stares down wide receivers, at least from the Senior Bowl film clips. I think a lot of young quarterbacks would do that. Do you think the Jets will have a sleeper signing? I think there's some trades that could happen. Like Rashawn Gary, to me, would be a really fun one to see happen. I don't think there's going to be any like big surprise splash signings. I mean, if you get Reich, maybe you consider like Carson Wentz as like your bridge quarterback because of his connection. But I don't know. I don't know if I see any surprise pop-up ones. Build all three levels of the defense. Draft Beast, Bane, or Reese. 16 pick, trade up to get Downs, and also draft linebacker, or trade up and get linebacker Styles, and also draft Bud Clark. That's a stud D-end, safety, and linebacker. Yeah, and you can combine that with free agency. I have a roadmap in my head that I want to go through. I've brought it up on stream a few times, but I want to put it all on video, and I'll have it out. I keep saying this weekend, but I don't know if I'll have it out that quick. We'll see. I know you have the draft party going on, but will you, Matt, and Clean Bean be streaming the draft party? Yes, absolutely. So this is a live show and draft party in Hoboken. So we are going to be doing the live stream draft from the bar in Hoboken, and you guys get to be there. So we'll have a crowd cam. So when the Jets make their pick, you'll have our reactions and you'll have the crowd's reactions. So like 2 years ago, we did it at a bar in Long Island, and like dude lit up a cigar. Jeremy's doing a belly bump with someone else. Like it gets wild. It is very, very funny. And we do a bunch of raffles. We have a good time. It's going to be all tricked out, and we all get to do it together. So I encourage you guys to come on out if you can make it. Jets need a lot of Mando. Might not be enough. Yeah, probably not enough stink for Mando to cover up, or not enough Mando to cover up the stink. Jonathan, what's up? JMO says, get Lombardi for OC. I'm so like, I don't care like about OC. I really don't think this is going to be the coaching staff that's going to be here in 27. It's not that I'm not pulling for him, but I just would be surprised. Out of all the quarterbacks this draft that are attainable, I like Nuss. I do too. Davis Mills came in when Stroud was out and played well. I think you'd have to trade for him. I'm pretty sure he's under contract this year. Taylor Green is 6'5". Yeah, and he's pretty fast too. He'd be a fun quarterback. You'd probably have to take him in the 4th round if I had to guess. As much as I want to give Glenn a shot, but with no one wanting to come here, how quick till he's out? I think he might be out halfway through the season. That's the benefit of bringing Reich in, is like if you fire Glenn, you have someone that can kind of right the ship and at least like keep things sort of moving forward. And then who knows, maybe Reich is the guy moving forward beyond that. I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case. I think we would clean house and just try to bring in whoever. But I think Woody is a huge detriment to us trying to bring people in, not just Glenn. Yeah, Boss Girl says, I don't think Texans trade Mills because he looked better than Stroud. I think so. To go back to the surprise signing, I think there's a possibility that CJ Stroud is traded. He's up for a contract. Like, he could start negotiating now. He's got year 4. They have to decide on his 5th-year option this offseason, which I would assume will be exercised. But he's kind of in the weird limbo of like Sam Darnold-y type time period where he's just kind of trending down at the wrong time. So if there's a situation where CJ Stroud becomes available, I would give a 16 for him. I hope we don't get like playoff CJ Stroud, but I think that would definitely keep our players interested. And then you at least, maybe you don't re-sign him long-term. You let him be the bridge quarterback. Like, maybe you exercise a 5th-year option. You see what he winds up being. And then, he could be your long-term answer at the position. Or he could, not. I think it would take a first-round pick to get him, though. With a new offensive playbook, are you concerned about our O-line? Yeah, I guess you got to be concerned a little bit about it. I like that they're all playing together, and I feel like there's a little bit more, like, even if there's a new playbook, if the guys can kind of feed off one another and know how each guy blocks, there's a little less to be concerned about, I think. I have no idea. We don't know who our offensive coordinator is going to be, so I don't know how different it's going to look. Is it true the Jets never reached out to Gruden? I mean, it's possible, but everyone ran with the whole Gruden story, and, we just look like we have egg on our face anyway. In the era of social media, it's very easy to have terrible news go viral and everyone think it's real. Like, there was that viral tweet, was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Adam Gase is now the head coach of a high school team. That's not true. He's not. But everyone believes it, so I don't know. Gruden was on Tampa radio today saying the story about the Jets reaching out to him is bogus. Well, that's good at least. It makes me feel better. Question, Reese prediction, sign, leaves Jets franchise transition. I think he definitely gets tagged. Transition tag would make a lot of sense if we want to match an offer. If we aren't sure if we want to match an offer, then the franchise tag maybe makes a little bit more sense and we just let him play out a year. I would tag him. Either one of franchise or transition tag is fine with me. Light rail and path, really good options to get to the draft party. See, I don't know my way around that area as well. I just know Matt got off the train and it was literally 23 steps to get to Texas, Arizona. Are the Jets playing a 3-4 or 4-3 or a bit of both? The top Ohio State defenders in this draft played in Matt Patricia's 3-4. I don't know what we're going to do. I'll be honest. Duker worked under Wink for 3 years in a 3-4. Duker worked under Weaver 3-4. So, yeah, maybe we're going 3-4. There were rumors that we were bringing in a lot of defensive coordinators that leaned towards that 3-4 nature, in which case it would make a lot of sense because then you could go JJ on the line. You could go Will McDonald and Reese as your outside linebackers. You have Anzalone that you bring in. You probably try to draft another linebacker as well to complement Sherwood. Or maybe you move off of Sherwood, you do something else. I'm fine with going that direction. I think Rashawn Gary could come to New York also. He might be a cut casualty or a cap casualty from the Packers, and I would throw a late round pick to guarantee we get him. And I think he would make a good, like him and JJ on the outsides in a 3-4, and then you get the linebackers that I just mentioned in Will McDonald and Reese. Cut surprise trade candidate, Rashawn Gary. I've been talking about that for a little bit. He played high school football 20 minutes down the road from MetLife. And Packers are currently $10 million over the cap. He would save them $11 million if they cut him. How would you get Anzalone in the offseason? How would getting Anzalone in the offseason impact getting Bane or Reese at pick 2? It won't. If Anzalone comes here, he's like 32 years old, it would not impact Bane or Reese whatsoever. It's Dookie time. Yeah, dude. As soon as the defense starts playing bad, it's like, man, this defense is Dookie. Like, that's just a tough last name to have if you're going to be a bad defensive coordinator or coach in general, I guess. He also coached under Glenn in a 4-3, and he won't be calling plays. He's not going to decide what front we use. Glenn will. Yeah, but I think there's also the argument of the amount of guys we brought in could indicate that Glenn wants to go more of a 3-4 front. I think you're going to see a lot of teams start going 3-4 fronts just because the running game's starting to become more of a factor in today's NFL, where it was so much passing for so long that you kind of almost have to beef up the front seven. It's that pendulum that we always talk about where trends go from one way to the other. And I think you're starting to see that pendulum swing more towards the running back side of things. Or there's more teams that are going run heavy that you'll see a little bit of a shift there. Or maybe you'll see more box safeties, something like that. I like Bane at number 2 and move up from 16 to select Caleb Downs if he's there. If we're trading up from 16, I would prefer it to be Sonny Styles or one of the receivers. I think if the Jets were to trade up, they would probably take one of the 3 receivers. I personally like Styles, and then I would use 33 on a wide receiver. Hey, Ryan, Daniel Jeremiah wrote, Sonny Styles reminds him of Fred Warner on the 49ers. That's good enough for me to draft him. I think Sonny Styles is legit. Like, if the Jets really wanted to get ballsy and, like, they couldn't decide between, like, Bane's arm length or Reese maybe needing some development at the edge rusher position, I don't hate Sonny Styles. Like, I think Sonny Styles is a slam dunk pick. I don't really want to take him at 2. So in a trade up is more where I would like to be. I don't think he makes it to 16, but I agree. I think Sonny Styles is special. I really do. Siberian, what is realistic record Glenn needs to not get fired? I think he has to keep the locker room intact. I think he has to be trending up towards the end of the year. And I think he's probably going to have to get at least to 8 wins. And you have to beat some teams that you shouldn't, which obviously if you're getting 8 wins, there's probably like 3 or 4 wins that you're looking at on the Jets schedule. If you're sitting here right now today as a fan and you're like, okay, well, what is it? The Cardinals, the Titans. I don't even think we're going to beat the Titans, but I think the Raiders are in there, the Browns. Like, there's some teams the Jets could beat, but the Jets are going to have to beat teams they shouldn't be favored to beat. And he's going to have to be trending up at the end of the year. So I'm going to say 8 wins is probably what it's going to take for him to stay. Cameron, what's up? Says, I think we just tank for a quarterback next year. I mean, I'm cool with tanking. I don't think Glenn is going to tank. That would be my guess. I think he'll be out of a job then. Big Green says, trade McDonald to Salah. I do think McDonald or JJ could be traded. The only thing I would say might cause them not to be traded would be that Glenn has to win now. And I don't know if trading those guys for maybe a 3rd round pick is enough to get. I don't know if that 3rd round pick is going to help Glenn more than keeping these guys on the roster now. I think we should stop assuming that Bane can just kick in on 3rd downs because of his size and strength. That's not something everyone can do, and we haven't seen him do it. Look, it's not something we've seen him do because they've used him on the outside in Florida or in Miami, but I think because of his strength and his size, he could move inside. And if you think he can't, then I don't think he's the pick because you have Will McDonald and you have JJ that you want to see rushing the passer. If he is the pick, then that probably indicates you're trading one of those two if you felt that he could not kick inside. I'm going to get to more of your questions, but I just want to thank the other sponsor of the channel, and that would be Sleeper. Think you know football? Then try to turn your football knowledge into real money with the Sleeper app, the ultimate fantasy sports app that can turn game day into payday. Just download the Sleeper app and pick more or less on your favorite players with more stats than any other daily fantasy app. Just choose 2 or more of your favorite players from pregame or live. Pick more or less on the predicted stats, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money if your picks win. Use promo code JetsTalk and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. I'm going to have my picks and everything for the Super Bowl once we get a little bit closer there. So if you guys want to play along, want to have a little bit of fun, and you want to help support the channel, head over to Sleeper, link in the description down below, and use promo code JetsTalk. Get yourself a nice little match heading into the big game. Tyson talking about T-Rex Bane Jr., tiny arms. Will McDonald would stand up and the Jets play more 3-4. Jermaine would play like Calvin Pace role, setting the edge, and players of the Jets played setting the edge of the Jets played more 3-4. I agree. I think Will would stand up and Jermaine would be more hand in the dirt. Could also stand up, but I think more so hand in the dirt. Reese only having 143 pass rush worries me, and Reese isn't the best coverage guy. And if you go 2, you are an edge. Yeah, I think they're definitely planning to have him be an edge if they take him at 2. His pressure rate is something insane. His pressure rate's like 24% or something like that. If you look at the amount of pressures versus pass rush snaps that he has, sack-wise, I think he was around 6%, if I remember correctly. I think he had, was it 6 or 8 sacks? I want to say it was like 8 sacks over the 2 years. Matt Patricia used Reese everywhere in the 3-4. He's a jack of all trades. Dude, he really is a stud. Like, his strength and size, like, he can just body up, like, big guards and, like, literally anyone. I have enough faith in Reese to just be a really good linebacker at stopping the run as his bottom floor and, like, astronomically high blue chip prospect level if he can rush the passer. So I lean Reese. I won't be upset if they go with Bane, though. Muji did okay with trades. I think he did really well with trades. I mean, which trade would you say he lost? Quinnen and Sauce, I think he won. Brownlee, I think he won. Phillips, I think is fine. Briggs, I think he won. Michael Carter, the second, I thought was a nice trade. I don't know. You'd have to tell me what you don't think did well. What do I think about Chambliss if he goes to the draft? I'm good with a day 2 swing. If he's the guy, that's totally fine with me. Recent report says that the Cards are asking for no less than a third for Murray. Yeah, they can kick rocks. That's not happening. No one's trading that high of a pick for that contract. They're going to have to cut him then. Jets could buy Anthony Richardson on the cheap if Muji is looking for a deal on adding a player with an extra flyer. I don't think they're going to go after Richardson. I think he's too similar to Fields in like the running style quarterback that just didn't pan out. I think they're going to go with someone that could win. Willis wants to stay in a Shanahan type system. Could also be an option for Mike LaFleur in Arizona. I could totally see that. You know, obviously, brother LaFleur training him in Green Bay would have inside knowledge on if he could get Willis to Arizona. I think that lines up a lot. That makes a lot of sense. What do I think about trading for Richardson? Nope, don't want to do it. Is it true Gruden? Yes. From what I've seen in this chat, it doesn't sound like Gruden was ever contacted. I prefer Glenn resigns, says Nick Shine. I'll be honest, I don't want him to resign. I would rather have Glenn here for next year at this point, because if you're hiring a coach, are you going to hire a coach for 1 year? Is a guy coming in to sign a 1-year contract? Probably not. And I'd rather us take a swing at a new coach in next year's crop, because I think there's some good guys that could shake free. So I don't want to lose Glenn at this particular stage anymore. What makes you think Glenn isn't a good play caller? Well, if he was calling the defense in Detroit, I don't think Detroit had a very good defense. Now you got me thinking, if Jake has been constantly saying, what does Aaron Glenn even do well as a head coach, so often made Brick and Woody tell him to coach the defense himself. I mean, I think Woody probably made sure he's like, hey, Glenn's calling the defense. I think that's what it is. Boss says, if Woody is influenced by YouTubers, then why wasn't Glenn fired? They might keep tabs and get annoyed at bad coverage, but Woody Johnson's not making decisions about multi-billion-dollar business based on YouTubers' demands. I wouldn't be so sure. I think he wasn't going to fire Glenn anyway, and I think the bad takes of like, Glenn needs to be fired, Glenn needs to be fired. I shouldn't say they're bad takes, because I think it's totally justifiable that you would do it. I just don't think we're an attractive landing spot right now for a head coach, and I think it would be a mistake to do it when you also traded away two of his best players. I think it doesn't. I don't think it's a good look. Nussmeier and Simpson remind me of Chad Pennington. Both are coach's sons, and both have durability issues. Chad was much bigger, though. Yeah, Chad was, I think, 6'4", 6'5". Simpson, I think, is 6'1". Nussmeier, I think, is also right around there, 6'1". If they want to take a swing on one of them, I'm fine with it. I don't think Simpson makes it. I don't think he makes it to 16. I think the Jets, I think he's definitely in play for the Jets if he makes it to 16. Then maybe if he doesn't, maybe Nussmeier's the fallback on the other side of things in the second round. If we lose Breece, would you mind the Jets draft Bane at 2 and then trade up for Jeremiah Love? I don't want to do that. I would franchise Breece. If the Jets did not trade Breece and the plan was to just let him walk at the end of the season, that is a very, very, I would say if they let Breece walk without a tag, that will be my first really big negative mark against Muji. You could say the Sherwood contract hasn't worked out, but I think we were all on board the Sherwood contract initially. So it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback. But the factor of not bringing Breece back and having the option to trade him at the deadline and not taking a fourth would be a bad move. So Ty says, I actually love the name Clean Bean. So where does it come from? The Clean Bean just comes because he's clean shaven. Green Bean doesn't have a beard right now. So you have to go back and see the last Talking Jets panel. Did you see the pic of Reese standing next to Gruden and Peter Woods? Kid is an absolute unit and only 20 years old. He'll definitely fill out at 255 in a few years. Yeah, I mean, Reese is the pick I would make. I think that's the smart pick. What is realistic record? Oh, sorry, I read that one already. V-Man says 2026 is going to be a mess. When this is all said and done, we need a program builder type of head coach, and the guy I want is McDermott. I'm on board with McDermott. I think it gives him an opportunity to go against his former team. I think he might be interested in doing it. He's brought in really good offensive coordinators in Daboll and Joe Brady. So to me, I don't view him necessarily as just a defensive-minded head coach. So program builder, I think, is a good way to frame that, V-Man. I think Tomlin would come into play. I think you're really going to, depending on where the Jets land and what they decide to do at quarterback, like let's say we traded for CJ Stroud, then OC becomes important, but you're not developing a quarterback. I don't know what direction we're going to go. There's so much uncertainty with 2026 and like who's going to become available. Like let's say the Jets get the number 1 overall pick. You're almost at the mercy of like, okay, well, what will convince Arch Manning to come out of college and go to the New York Jets? Not saying that you need to make your sole decision on hiring based off that, but you need to find a really good match and someone who's going to fit the team. I do think McDermott would fill that role. I like him a lot. Reese is a freak, legit 4.5 speed. Is that true? If he's that fast, that's going to be scary at that speed or at that size. Jets should call on Stroud. I think I've been saying Stroud since like middle of the season, but he was looking good middle of the season. So my whole thought process was like, well, what would they do with like outside of Stroud? But because he looked as bad as he did the last part of the season, I think there's a part of me that thinks he might get traded. Reich likes using multiple tight ends, just something to consider. Cool. I mean, I like Mason Taylor. I like that we brought Ruckert back, so I'm good with that. Oh, yeah. Frank Reich wanted Stroud, but Tepper screwed him over. That's right, because Frank Reich was forced into drafting Bryce Young, and that's why he got bounced after 1 year. So the Frank Reich, CJ Stroud connection, I think, is very real. I think that's the Jets have a plan. I think that could be what that plan is. And it might be trading 16 for CJ Stroud. I don't think you're going to have to give up 2. If the Jets gave up 2, I'd be pretty pissed. If this doesn't go well, Gruden could be the next head coach, though. Yeah, I agree. I think there's so many draft assets that the Jets could attract him here. I'm fine with Gruden as the next head coach. Jets would need a nose tackle if they go 3-4. DJ Reader in free agency, then maybe Will McDonald, Banks, McDonald or Banks, etc. in the draft. So McDonald is the D tackle from Ohio State. Banks is the D tackle from, is it Florida? Is that where he's at, or is he Miami? I think he's Florida. Yeah, Reader is was he Detroit? I think DJ Reader's Detroit. There or the Broncos. Either way, I know one of them. I know he's a free agent. I know obviously Anzalone's a free agent. I like it. I'm fine with it. There's actually a possibility the Jets don't suck this year. Sure. I mean, I think the schedule is super hard, but I don't know if I'm not overly optimistic. I'll put it that way. Ryan, I like Rise of the Jets idea. Fix the D and let Cousins throw easy to catch ball. G5 and Taylor. I don't hate going after Cousins. I do think Stroud is a possibility that no one's talking about. I think Kyler's a real possibility, depending on what he would cost to get. I think the Cardinals would have to give up a pick for someone to take that contract, though. Who would you want next year out of Cousins, Willis, Winston, Murray, or Jones? So Winston's under contract with the Giants. They're not going to trade him. Mac Jones kind of falls into that same category. Like, are we going to give up a second-round pick for Mac Jones? I don't think we are. And at that point, why would the 49ers trade him? He's on such a nice contract. I think Willis is going to have better options than us. I think Cousins or Murray is probably what it comes down to, and I'm fine with either one. They both provide different things. You have different roadmaps depending on which direction you go. If you trade up and Downs is sitting there and you don't take him, that would be a big mistake. As big a mistake as not taking JSN when he fell to us. Downs is the number 1 player in the draft. No, I get that. I'm fine with that. And if Downs is there at 16, make the pick. That's fine. I don't particularly want to draft a safety. I don't want the Jets to use that high a capital. I think there's other areas of this team that will need to be corrected in addition to safety. And I think there's some good safeties in free agency that the Jets could be bringing in. I think there's opportunities for safeties in round 2. So I don't particularly want to go the safety route. I'm praying Tyson falls to 16 due to superstar written all over him. He's really good. I think Tate would be my first selection at wide receiver. If any one of those top 3 guys falls to 16, that's probably the pick. The Lions under Glenn had improved DVOA each season. Don't believe the slander. Oh, interesting. That I did not know. All the Jets need on offense is a decent vet quarterback and wide receiver too. How does that equate to sucking and getting the number 1 pick in 2027? I don't think the Jets are going to get the number 1 pick in 2027. I think Glenn's going to have to win too many games, or I think Glenn's going to have to win, and the Jets are just going to not be in position to get the number 1 overall pick. I think it's possible the Colts could have the number 1 pick and we wind up getting it. I don't know. We need a good vet quarterback for sure. We need a wide receiver too. You got to re-sign one of the guards, and then I would probably draft a guard to sit behind that player. The offense definitely needs a lot less than the defense, but the defense is so bad. Like, unless they're really injecting a ton of talent on the defensive side, like, this is going to be a long season. I would tag Reese. I agree, and you're using the same logic I did. Jets have a lot of cap space, and it's not like they're going to attract free agents. Transition tag is best case for Brees. If you want to sign him long-term and you think that a team would write him a contract, I don't know if a team's going to give him an offer sheet that they feel like the Jets are going to match anyway. I would be fine with the transition tag. I'm fine with the franchise tag. For $2 million more than that, too, if you had to. I'm a big Brees fan, so I think we should hold on to him. What are the chances Vegas passes on Mendoza? Less than 5%? Less than 1%? I would be shocked. If Mendoza does wind up being there at number 2, you got to think he's the pick all day. I don't know what situation happens. Like, maybe it's like Willis goes to the Raiders and they're just over the moon and they're like, okay, we're trading out a 1. It's probably the Jets trading up to 1 is what would have to happen if the Raiders were going to pass on Mendoza. Because otherwise there's too big of a threat that, you know, the Jets don't like. If the chance that Mendoza opens up and the Jets are sitting at number 2 and they don't put in an offer to the Raiders, then that means the Cardinals or the Browns or some other team's going to jump in front of us. No to Stroud. What is wrong with you guys? I'm not saying I love the idea of Stroud. I think the postseason definitely had me sour a lot on Fields or on CJ Stroud. I think if the Jets are bringing in Frank Reich, then that Stroud connection that I was talking about, not to mention with Garrett Wilson and Ruckert and all those guys, makes a lot of sense. Stroud would cost you 2 first-round picks. They might do it then. They might say, hey, look, pick 16 and a 2027 first, like, we'll do it. I'm not saying I necessarily want to give up 2 first-round picks for CJ Stroud, but I think this regime would. I think it's definitely the best quarterback you could get and the best young quarterback where you don't feel like you have to draft one. I don't really want to see them do that because I think that might take them out of play in 2027. So as a fan, I want to have the hope of like drafting our own guy and using all our draft picks. But I think what the fan wants and what the regime needs to do to keep their jobs is 2 totally different things. Frank Reich is our OC. Stanford tight end Sam Roush is worth looking into, one of the best blocking tight ends in the draft. We need a blocking tight end. I feel like Ruckert, I don't actually know how his blocking was last year. Overall, I thought Ruckert had a tick up in his year last year. I would send Houston 16 and maybe a second either this year or next season. If you want to send him 16 and a conditional pick, like if it's like, if the Jets make the playoffs, it's a 3rd-round pick. If the Jets make the divisional round or something, or the championship, maybe it's a 2nd-round pick. And like, if it escalates that way, I'm fine with a conditional pick in 27. With the amount of draft assets the Jets have over the next 2 seasons, now would be a time to go get a quarterback like Stroud for 2 firsts. I think that's what's going to happen. If Reich's the guy, a Stroud trade makes a ton of sense. I don't really want to give up 2 firsts for him though, because you're gonna have to pay him too. And like, he's definitely better than Sam was when he was with us, but Sam got what, a 2, a 4, and a 6. I feel like 16 should be enough to get Stroud. Reich could trade for Brissett. He coached Brissett in Indy. Is Brissett a? For some reason, I thought he was a free agent. Is he actually on a team? Is he Cardinals right now? Yeah, he is on the Cardinals. I guess it depends what happens with Murray. They might hold on to Brissett as like kind of a bridge quarterback in Arizona. But I do like the idea of Willis going to Arizona now that like LaFleur is the top candidate there. Stroud looked awful in his last 8 to 10 games. That's why I don't want to give up 2 firsts. I would do it for a 16, though. I also think his offensive line was hot trash. He didn't look confident towards the end of the year either, though. Is George Pickens in the cards for us? No, it sounds like he's going to get franchise tagged, too. Also, funny thing, we had a bad defense, even the whole 30 points a game over the last 4 to 5 games. We didn't rate as the worst defense in the NFL, even with lack of turnovers. That's wild. I didn't realize that. I just assumed we were the worst. Remember, the Colts can possibly suck next year, which would help the high pick they did drop the last 7 games. Yeah, I think there's a higher likelihood that the Colts pick is number 1 overall than the Jets pick is number 1 overall. Because I think Glenn is going to have his back against the wall and he's going to try and win as many games as possible. The Colts just might be in like a weird funk depending on who their bridge quarterback is until Jones comes back. And Jones may not even play at all next year. Raiders are getting Mendoza and Kubiak. That is a game changer offseason. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. Forget Stroud, get Davis Mills. I think they're going to hold on to Davis Mills and trade Stroud. Snipe says, I would give 2 firsts for Stroud in a heartbeat. You're going to have to pay him a lot of money, though. I don't know if he's performed to that level. 16, yes. Multiple firsts. I'd have to make the second pick a conditional one. Jets have better offensive line. Stroud could use a change of scenery. Yeah, I don't disagree. Those who want Stroud wanted Fields last year. Clueless, they suck. Well, I think the people who wanted Fields last year, there's probably a small portion of people that were like, oh, Fields is really good. But I think the majority of us thought Fields was a nice answer to help the locker room, like help Wilson, help Ruckert, just kind of get guys kind of all buying in on one thing. And then there was the high upside of like, okay, look, he was considered a high first-round pick at one point. Maybe we're just going to use him better than the other offensive coordinators did, and we just did not. And he did not play well. So I don't know. I thought Stroud was the best quarterback of his class, and so did Reich. So it can make a lot of sense. Why the hell do all the Jet YouTubers be live so late? I'm live so late because I got a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old, and this is the only time I get to make content. I used to make content all the time, and now dad life and the 9 to 5 just make it a little bit tougher. So you get the late night streams from me, or you don't get them at all. Stroud also really only had one go-to guy in Collins, and he also played with Garrett. Yep, that's the connection that I'm drawing here. Cousins to the Jets, and we draft Ty Simpson second overall. Second round pick. I don't think Ty Simpson's not going to make it to the second round. You'd probably have to take him at 16. Trade proposal. Trade Sherwood and a couple of low round picks to Philadelphia for Nakobe Dean. Sure as hell would tighten up the linebacker room. I mean, I don't know how Nakobe Dean has done since he's been in the NFL. Admittedly, I have not followed him. I really liked him out of Georgia. I think there's a higher likelihood that we trade Sherwood to either the Titans or the Falcons, with Ulbrich and Salah being at those two spots. What about number 2 for Stroud instead of 2 1s? God, I don't know. I don't really want to do that. If it was 2 1s, I don't know if I even do that trade. Number 2. I don't know. Would Glenn and Muji do that? They might. To save their job? I don't know. I don't want to give up 2 for that. What about Kyler Murray and we give up no picks? If he's a free agent and he wants to come over here, that's cool. I'm down to trade for him, but it would have to be a trade that we also get a pick with Kyler. I don't think there's a way I would trade for Kyler on his current contract and, help Arizona out that much, because I think they're going to cut him anyway. You could steal Stroud right now, and Reich loves him. Houston would have never considered a trade 4 weeks ago. I agree. I think when I was talking about it mid-season, it seemed very far-fetched. I've been talking about Stroud since at least middle of October, maybe end of October. I'm trying to think when I was talking about him. I think it was either that last week in October, because I was playing in a golf outing. So that's where my head was at. Just tank out and draft Arch next year, and then Arch decides to go back to school. I don't think you could just bank on tanking and getting him. I don't think Glenn's going to do it. I think Dean is a free agent. Is he really? Spell it wrong. How do you spell it? Kobe? Dean. Nope, that's why I spelled it wrong. He is a free agent. All right. I'm down with signing him. What's his statistics look like? What is he doing? Solo tackles. He had 80 last year, 2 years ago. 48 assisted. Last year he didn't have as many. He only had 30 tackles. Defensive snaps. 2 years ago he played 81. So he hasn't played more than like 82% of snaps. Year 1, 3%. Year 2, 15%. Then 2 years ago, 82%, and then only 35 last year. I like Nakobe Dean coming out of Georgia, so if the Jets wanted to make that signing, I could get on board with it. We need a Taylor Swift period smeared on the field to break the Jets' curse. That's aggressive. Ty won't make it to round 2. Jeremy Fowler had a report this week that Todd Monken and the Browns are in play for Ty. Yeah, I completely agree. I don't think Ty makes it out of the top 10. I think if you want Ty, you're gonna have to take him at 2. Jordan, I didn't know you had kids. Respect, keep up the lyric. Thank you, dude. I appreciate you tuning in either way. Yeah, I got a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old, so it's super fun. I love it. It's a blast. Definitely has cut back on my ability to make content though. Stroud has 1 year left on his contract, but it's his 4th year, and you have to decide on his 5th year option before, I think it's like 2 days after the draft ends or 3 days after the draft ends is when you have to decide on the 5th year option. So he's really got 2 years. It's the same sort of circumstance that we had with Sam. No, Aaron. I love late night streams. Ryan, you complete the day with Jets football talk. I appreciate you, Aaron. Billy says sign Davis Mills. Davis Mills, you have to trade for. He's under contract. I'm scared that Muji blows up our future attempting to save his job on something that won't work and keeps us relevant. Keeps us irrelevant. So I think Muji is not tied to Glenn. I think from what I've heard that he could survive a Glenn firing. So hopefully he doesn't sell us out. Veteran Jets fan knows where it's at. You got 2 years of Stroud. You can make him forced to pay a big contract. And then you can franchise tag him if you really wanted to. You don't necessarily have to like pay him monster money. And if he doesn't look good this year, there's not really any harm in like letting him play out his, like, you could draft a quarterback next year still with all your draft picks. You could move up if you needed to. And then he could just be your bridge and you let him walk. And then all of a sudden he's, maybe signing somewhere else and, you get a comp pick or something. I don't hate it. It depends on what you'd have to trade to get him. Rams would be an ideal spot for Ty, sit behind Stafford. Yeah, I've been saying I thought 13 was a great landing spot for Ty. I do think his stock's going to elevate. He's going to end up being a top 10 guy, though. If we're going to give up first-round picks, we're going to go after Joe Burrow, not C.J. Stroud. Burrow has a no-trade clause. C.J. Stroud does not. C.J. Stroud also played with Garrett Wilson, so I think there's some, a connection there. Reich wanting to draft him and Tepper not taking him, I think, is a big tell as well. Burrow costs you 4 first-round picks at minimum. Yeah, I think it's at least 4. So CJ Stroud, I see your comment in there, veteran Jets fan. That's not even accurate. His cap hit for the Texans is $11.5 million. If he's traded, his cap hit for the Jets would be $5.6 million this year. So it's even lower. Like, Stroud makes a crazy ton of sense. Imagine Gruden as head coach, Burrow at quarterback. Jets make the Jets great again. That would be awesome. That'd be very cool. Titan says, Stroud, not a bad idea. I would rather sign a bridge quarterback. Is not a bad idea, but I would rather sign a bridge quarterback in free agency. So it depends what it costs to get Stroud. That cap number and his pedigree, it probably is 2 high picks. It's probably a first and like a conditional first. Like, the 2027 first only happens if he gets to like a Super Bowl or a championship game. I think it's possible that we make the move, though. I think with Glenn on the hot seat, he needs a proven commodity, and I think Stroud could be the dude. All right, boys and girls, I'm hitting the hour and a half mark. If you have not done so and you want to join us at the Talkin' Jets draft party in Hoboken, that's all the details for the draft party. You can head over to talkinjets.com, get yourself a ticket. $25 now. Get you a drink ticket to get into the bar. Feel free to bring friends and whatever else. We have a bunch of tickets sold already. Doesn't have to necessarily be just Jet fans. We're happy just to hang out and see all the different reactions. You don't have to wear a Jet jersey if you don't have to. You know, if you don't want to, you can wear a Giant jersey. You can wear whatever other jerseys you want. But I look forward to our Talking Jets draft party every year. We're doing the live show, so you're going to be able to hear us talking to the people out in the crowd. We're going to mix and mingle for probably the first hour or so. I think it's going to start at 6:30. And then we'll hop on the stream and you guys can converse and watch the draft and everything. And it's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. Boys and girls, thank you so much for hanging out tonight. I'm going to go to sleep. I am tired. This is Jets Talk signing off. Jets!
Jets! Jets! Jets!